Hi, my name is Loren of Doctors Mick, and today I'm going to talk a little bit further about Level 1 crystal imprints and crystal implants. Now, a crystal, first of all, that the crystals that were programmed and put in you were grown in labs and programmed at the time the crystals were growing. They are not the kind of crystals that you find out in nature and pick things up or buy them at rock shops or whatever. So these are crystals that were programmed and grown in laboratories. So one of the things that we are always asked is why did this happen? And we feel as though that the crystals were at one time developed for the enhancement of our individual being. And so we think that there are good crystals in us. However, when the powers to be took over control and realized that this also could be a form of implantation and limiting people. So there are times, when we came to Earth to colonize Earth, we were implanted. Some of us were implanted even before we got here. Then when we got here, some of the earlier colonies on Earth were Mu, Lemuria, and Atlantis. And so there is a progression of implants as they go. Okay, then the next question is, how is it implanted? So for this is an awfully big knife, and so I'm using it mainly to say it was surgically cut, and then a crystal much smaller than this, I'm using a big one, then would be slipped into place, and then let's say that this shard of crystal then was programmed to block your flow of energy out your hands. So this would be a way of blocking your healing ability. Also, during the Atlantean times, they had the ability to take thin slices of crystal, much like a credit card, and they would program one crystal, another crystal, another crystal, and another crystal about this shape or smaller, fuse them together, then cut and place in various areas of the body. Usually they would program the crystals to block a particular chakra function. So let's say if you were implanted in the stomach area, this is a major center for intuition and gut feelings and so forth. So they wanted you to be blocked from the information that you would get from other dimensions. As technology came along, they had the ability, this is just another example, to get things faster. They would go click, 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 and each time that there would be a click, you can imagine a crystal being put in. And so that would equal a whole system, because when one crystal was put in and then another, the path of energy would flow from one crystal to the next, creating massive blockages throughout your body. So now I'm going to stop here, and we're going to show you some pictures that we've taken from a book called Subtle Body. And these are, we feel, examples of what the implants look like. The starseed implants are the earliest implants. And you can see there's more of a testing as to, they're not really sure what they're doing. So here's a crystal, and here's a crystal, and here's a crystal, and this one has more power than the others. And so it's a smattering of crystals that some have more power, some have less power. Some of us came to Earth, or most of us came to Earth already implanted. So we would be limited, and so we'd be limited. Mu was another colony established on Earth before Lemuria and before Atlantis. And so you can see that these implants are much similar to the starseed implants. And this is just another smattering of crystals that were just implanted in any way, shape, or form that they could get them in. Again, this is an example, we feel, of a Mu implant. This is a picture of Lemurian implants. So as you can see, the crystals and pathways of the energy from one crystal to another goes in and out and around and causes a pattern of blockage. This is another picture of Lemurian implants. We think it was a later discovery as to how they did things, and this shows a clear example of pathways from one crystal to another. And these little light looking things are actual crystals that are growing and connecting the two. So you can see the pathways of the connection. So like here it would be a crystal, and here would be a crystal, and these were the ones that would have been implanted, and the pathways would grow crystals throughout the blocked area. Now this is sort of an example of an Atlantean implant. I did a search a number of years ago on implants, and this is one of the pictures that came up. And this is what Diane sees, something like this. You can imagine about a credit card shape with all kinds of energy running on them. And so if you can imagine, this is one sheet of crystal plus another sheet of crystal could be put together, so that they could have stacks of crystals that would be fused together, and they could change the programming on the same crystal from one to another to another. Also, if you can imagine, they could be smaller or even smaller than this with the same programming on. And if you think of the technology that you've heard about, people developing in this lifetime, you can get a lot of information on the head of a pin. So anyway, this is kind of a visual example of an Atlantean implant. So now you have somewhat of a visual as to what these crystals look like. Now I want you to remember that when you die and reincarnate from one life to the next, these crystal systems go from the physical body to the etheric body, which is right next to the skin. And each time you die and reincarnate, then it kind of layers one on top of the other. So if you came as a starseed and lived in Mu, Lemuria, and Atlantis, you probably lived there many lifetimes and were probably doing good things that the government didn't like you to do. And so you were then implanted lifetime after lifetime. So we feel that this is about the lifetime to get rid of them. And so Diane and I have developed a technique that we use to remove the implants or end imprints from the etheric body. So anyway, the major thing to think about is, what is your purpose in this lifetime? Where do you sense the blockages? So let's say if you were a communicator, your neck would be heavily done. It could include some of the thinking ability in the brain. It also could include creativeness in the second chakra area. So these are different areas that could be blocked in you from being the person that you're meant to be. As you get closer and closer to doing purpose work, these systems become more and more powerful, trying to get you to stop doing what you're doing. They were designed to keep you from doing your purpose and channeling your energy. Once they are removed, you have the ability to gain all of your power back and the ability to channel the energy that's meant for you. The crystals themselves would draw energy and live off of your energy field and the energy you bring in. So anyway, that's more of a definition of crystal implants and crystal imprints and the blockages that you can experience in this lifetime. Okay, again, thank you for listening to me talk about crystal implants and imprints. You can read more about this on our website at www.drsmick.com, Level 1.